Hi, uh, those of you who read the, what was it, February 9th email already know what I'm about to say, but I know not everybody reads email, including me. So here it is in video form. So why has Brasscheck gone dark? First of all, understand I've sent a daily email for 28 years, never missed a day. Um, so why have I decided to pull back? Because I'm doing more than any human being can possibly do. And something's got to go. And the thing that's got to go is the daily email. So my question is, do you know anybody that writes 3 or 4 books a year, makes 2 or 3 documentaries a year, and does independent research all day long? What else am I doing here? Um, and manages to send out a daily news bulletin. Who only recently, by the way, has one reliable assistant. You don't know anybody that does that. I don't know anybody that does that. I don't think anybody should try to do that. So I also need to make room for other projects that I'm working on. One of them is a new book called The Nuremberg Code and Its Modern Enemies. This is possibly the most important of all the books that we produced. And it takes time. If you've ever written a book, you know. If you've never, it is a bear. It's about the same as building a house. Can you do it? Sure. Can you do it in a weekend? No. Do a lot of things go wrong along the way? Hell yeah. Somehow we managed to put out a lot of books. I don't know how we did it, quite frankly, but we did it. And this book really needs to come out. Now, the thing I've learned along the way is it's not just enough to write a book. You also have to promote the book, or no one other than your close circle of supporters will even know it exists. Um, and it's that alone is a full-time job just for one book, right? So we've got a lot of books. So the books need nurturing. The books are also a moneymaker. They're making me more money than the contributions and support from subscribers. And I have to thank the subscribers that have been supporting me. You have no idea what thin margins we are operating on. The money comes in and it goes right out. Um, it's okay. It's what I want to do with my time. But it would have been it would be great to have more support. Let me just put it that way, from the million-dollar podcasters and from the algorithms at the various social media outlets. Would have been great to have more support. I could have hired more people. I don't think the loss of the daily email is that big a deal. We're going to do one email every Saturday. It's going to be primo. If something important comes up, if they try to run another COVID by us, if they try to destroy another poor nation with malicious bombings, I'll have to probably get back in and set that straight, at least informationally, very early on. But otherwise, once a week, if I do see a video that's really impressive, I'm just going to send it to you. I'm not going to write anything. It's just going to say, hey, here's what it is. Look at it. But basically, we're down to one time a week, every Saturday. I hope that our supporters, and again, my gratitude for you is boundless, will stick with us. If you're not a supporter, you might look at all that we do and think about supporting us because, like I always say, we don't get the news media we deserve. Excuse me. We do get the news media we deserve. I'll explain that in a second. We don't get the government we deserve. We don't get the educational system we deserve. We don't get the medical system we deserve. But by God, we get the news media we deserve because everybody's paying for media. And if you're not supporting good, independent media, you get what you deserve, right? What can I say? Those of you that might be a little bit new, when I'm talking about books, well, first of all, let me talk about the films. Fauci's First Fraud, which you can go to and see, faucisfirstfraud.com. You can also, if you go to Brasscheck and search around, you can find Why Are These Israelis Dancing? Probably one of the best films on 9/11 ever made. Did not get a lot of traction among the 9/11 truth movement industry, but it is a very important film, as those of you who've watched it know. So those are films. And then we've put out, I don't know, over 100 COVID films during that madness. Many of them really on the cutting edge, way before anybody else figured certain things out. Anyway, I'm not complaining, just explaining. For people that don't know about our books, let me just go through some of them. Fauci's First Fraud. The film came first, then came the book. The film was cited 28 times in Robert F. Kennedy's book, The Real Anthony Fauci. Um, what the nurses saw, big, fat, thick, honking book documenting the medical murders that took place during COVID in hospitals in U.S. and other hospitals. And it wasn't just a few, and it wasn't just thousands, and probably wasn't tens of thousands. It may be hundreds of thousands. Now, our good friends at CHD TV are my good friends. Um, they've made a great film called Vaxxed 3, and it just came out very recently. This book is over a year old. First and only book on the subject. Still waiting for Brownstone Institute, still waiting for ICANN, still waiting for Jimmy Dore, still waiting for all these guys to pay attention to the fact that hundreds of thousands of people may have been murdered in hospitals during COVID. They'll get to it eventually, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what these guys are doing. I've brought this up many times with you all. I don't know what they're doing. I wrote this book. Very important. Frankly, I wrote it for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I hoped he would read it. I don't know if he has. It was delivered to him by a close friend who he trusts. And it's the true history of the U.S.-Israeli relationship. There's nothing like it available anywhere else. Very important book. Very, very important book. It required, in the ideal world, I would spend 40 hours a week promoting this book and trying to break through to these podcasts. Because everybody that tells you that the U.S.-Israeli relationship is natural is a liar. And we've got all the cables, all the memos, all the letters, all the telegrams. I think I showed any. Yeah, there's one. They're all declassified now. Everybody says, look, we found documents, then they don't show you the documents. They don't even give you a text of the documents. We give you the full text of the documents, and we give you the facsimiles, a photograph of the documents, so you know they're real, and we show you where to find them. The things that I assert in this book, including who I believe organized the murder and cover-up of John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, which you'll find hardly anybody willing to spell it out, all documented. All documented. What else did we do? This book, John F. Kennedy, anti-imperialist. He was an anti-imperialist. We have a grand tradition of anti-imperialism in our country. It flourished in the late 19th century. Mark Twain was a member. Grover Cleveland was a member of the Anti-Imperialist League. That's what it was called, guys. Who else was a member? Andrew Carnegie. Okay? And John F. Kennedy was the great anti-imperialist. Was he a perfect man? Nobody's a perfect man. He was the great anti-imperialist of the 20th century in America. And nobody talks about it. And we've got all the documents that prove it. We don't do Me Too stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if there's a meme floating around out there and everybody's talking about it, they don't know anything about it, but they're going to talk about it to get clicks. We don't do that. We do the hard, original research that nobody else does. Okay? What else have we done? Even before the World Court, the International Court of Justice, declared that Israel was carrying out a genocide in Gaza, even before they came up with their judgment, we published this book. And we put the entire South African complaint in it. We put the international law in it. We put the U.S. law in it. And I wrote an essay to sort of explain and put everything in context. This book is over a year old. We now know that artificial intelligence, Google and Microsoft and Amazon, they couldn't wait to stick their arms into the blood right up to their elbows. They just to get the dollars. They couldn't wait. And we predicted that long before the Gaza thing started in a book called The Artificial Intelligence Question and Answer Book. And we talked about how artificial intelligence, the reason so much money is being spent on it is because it's seen as a shortcut for managing warfare. And how many tens of thousands of innocent people were killed in Gaza using artificial intelligence as a guide. It's the same old bullshit from years ago. Well, the computer told us. Who says the computer's right? And then it became, well, it's on the internet. Who says the internet's right? Now it's AI told us to kill these children. So we just went ahead and did it. And again, we predicted it in this book. I forget which chapter. Let me see. You write a lot of books you can hardly remember. Autonomous killing. Artificial intelligence as a weapon of war. Pre-Gaza. We also wrote this book. This was our first. The 75th anniversary. Everybody's talking about the Nuremberg Code. Every $1 million podcaster, for a while there was an expert on the Nuremberg Code. They didn't know the first freaking thing about it, but they were burning hours and hours of airtime, jabbering on about it. We put out a book on it. All right. And doing well. That's doing well. The nurses saw is doing well. All right. So what am I saying here? I'm saying you're going to get one email a week. I hope you can live with it. I didn't, I don't like to give up, but what do I do? Do I sweat over writing emails every day, or do I continue to write books and promote the books that I've got and continue to make unique films, not Me Too films, not, hey, somebody else, 10,000 other people made a film on this and now I'm going to make it too so I can get some clicks. I'm talking about being often the first to talk about something. Really the first to talk about Fauci in relationship to his AIDS fraud and how it compared to COVID. That was me, guys. Okay? The first to comprehensively tell you about the hundreds of thousands of murders that took place in hospitals during COVID. That was me, guys. One of the first, not the first, because other people have written about it. The fact that part of AI is designed to kill civilians. I don't know how else to put it. I don't, why say it in a nice way? It facilitates the killing of civilians. That's one reason the government's so happy and excited about AI, and they want to brag about putting $500 billion into building data centers. Anyway, hopefully someday the world's going to catch up with this story, but it requires a full-time effort for that to happen. So how do I, do daily email and the full-time effort? And hopefully the world, Americans in particular, will catch up with this fundamental story. Okay, we once had a president who was anti-imperialist, and for his trouble, they put a bullet in the back of his head. Anyway, I'm in a mood, I'm in a mood. But this is the deal. Why did Brasscheck go black? Well, we haven't gone black. I'm just only going to send one email a week. I might see something amazing and just have to pop it out to you, but I just have to forget the stress and strain of a daily email. I just got to put it out of my mind. I got to stop watching hours and hours and hours of YouTube. Any YouTube that I send, probably the result of 5 hours, right? Because I'm watching lots and lots of I was watching lots and lots of stuff, finding the best stuff, and then very often, because sometimes the very best stuff is 10 minutes hidden in an hour and a half video. And you guys have been the beneficiaries of that. And I do recommend, no one hardly ever does this, but I recommend this strongly. We have an archive, thousands of videos. We've got a search function. You can search. Somewhere on there, you got to find it. I don't even know where it is. We've got our 100 plus COVID videos. If anybody wants to see time-stamped COVID videos and see how this thing unfolded and anyway. Exasperated a little bit, I guess. But grateful to supporters. Really, guys, some of you have been amazing. And hey, some people don't have money, though. If you have a computer and internet connection, you probably have some money. But anyway, but by all means, pay Netflix instead. Being sarcastic. But I'm happy. And by the way, the other thing I'm working on, and I'll share some of this, is I have been working for 5 years, pre-Gaza, pre-COVID, with helping a clinician, a genius clinician who helps people with severe neurological problems. And I've been doing that with all these other things. And it's time I got to reshuffle my priorities. And, there are certain things that we do that are unique, i.e. this. Nobody else appears to be able to do it. This. Nobody else appears to be able to do it. This. Nobody else appears to be able to do it. This. Nobody else appears to be able to do it. Making sure that this is in print in 12 languages. Nobody else seems to be able to do it. But, I'm coming to the end. of the things that I think have to be in print. And the next thing, we need books on this revolutionary method for helping people with neurological disorders. Um, and that's a full-time job times 10. But it's all good. I mean, I'm a hard worker. I'm very efficient. I have a great assistant. I have one great assistant who's done, I don't tell him, but he's done miracles for me, made so many things possible. But I gotta prioritize. So that's why, I mean, I'm going on and on about this because it hurts me to drop the daily email. Like 28 years, you do something. Do you know anybody else who sent an email for 28 years without missing a day? I mean, it kind of gets me. But it again, maybe 5 hours is some are 5 hours, but there's at least an hour in every one of those emails. It's got to be written and it's got to be posted. And I mean, it's just work, man. And but very often there are many. You're seeing the tip of the iceberg. And it would be great if I had 100,000 or 1 million subscribers. Then I would feel like it was worthwhile. But I don't. I don't. But to those I have, I'm very grateful, and to the supporters, I'm super grateful. So anyway, we haven't really gone black, but we're just going to do 1 week, one email per week. But you're going to see, I'm gonna fold and say I got to send them this one. In fact, I've got one that you really have to see, but I'll send it when I get around to sending it. In other words, the daily email has to go down to it's out, it's off the table. And other than the weekly email, everything else related to emails related to Brasscheck is now my least I'm trying to convince myself, right? It's my lowest priority. And the highest priority now is getting the new book done, the Nuremberg Code and its modern enemies, promoting the existing books, and we're making a series of videos. And we want to do them without being in a rush. I don't know if anybody here is a journalist. I doubt it. I doubt there are any journalists that watch this. But anybody that works in that, especially if you have a daily deadline, I mean, that's a burnout job, man. That is a hard job, right? And if you've been a TV news guy, where you got to go out and shoot and then edit and then air it on time. I mean, it's not a job for lightweights. So we've been in that business for 28 years, and I'm getting out of that particular business and devoting my time to things that I hope will have greater resonance. I mean, let's face it, this was worth the effort, right? I mean, what if the real Anthony Fauci didn't have all that amazing material? And also, people don't know how involved I was in the success of the promotion of that book. That was a full-time job for me for 6 weeks, unpaid, and mostly unacknowledged, frankly. But I have all the emails, so someday we'll put out a book on that, where this book was promotionally before I got involved and all the things that happened when I was involved. But anyway, was it worth it? Hell yeah, it was worth it. Would have been nicer if people had paid attention to the film when it came out in 2020. But hey, it's okay. We've gotten rid of Fauci, finally. Did you hear? I just want to leave you with this punchline, and then I'm going to take off. One of the things that Doge has discovered is that the NIH has a budget item, $168,000, to build a commemorative display to the career of Anthony Fauci in the lobby of the NIH headquarters. Okay? Guys, we haven't spent $168,000 in 28 years of sending out emails every day and all these films and all these books, right? And then just blowing it, giving a hosanna to possibly, well, the front man. He's just a front man, but the front man for one of the most evil things. I mean, it's on par with the Civil War in terms of devastation, the COVID con. Has anybody ever said that to you? No one's ever made that analogy, have they? Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. It was a civil war. And it there were two sides, right? The evil, stupid side that pushed this thing, and the small handful of people who were trying to fight back. Now, they didn't kill us, thank God. They destroyed a lot of our businesses, and they destroyed a lot of our reputations. They didn't kill us, but they killed maybe 900,000 people in the hospitals. That's pretty close to Civil War numbers. You never heard anybody talk about that, have you? Anyway, blowing my own horn because if I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. God knows. Actually, though, I do have some good support. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. Um, we got some good guys out there helping, and we post when they interview me. We put their interviews out, and we put it on the appropriate website. You know, we have a website called Fauci'sFirstFraud.com, and we have a website called JFKAntiWar.com, and we have a website. This is probably one of my lighter books, but it's still an important book. We have a website called HowTheWeb1.com. The web did not fall off the back of a truck or from the branch of a tree. And it was very possible that we might not have even had what we've got today. You know, the Zoom and the websites and the video and the audio and anybody can publish. There were a lot of forces at work in the 1990s to try to interfere and interrupt that. And we won. Maybe it's the last big battle that we won. But we won that one. And nobody tells that story either. It's very bizarre, the stories that nobody tells. But anyway, to supporters, please keep supporting. Um, you know, my assistant needs to be paid. I got to pay all kinds of bills just to keep this thing running. But no more daily emails. And I thank you for everything. Okay, bye-bye.
Brasscheck TV, free to you, not free to us. We've got a server bill, we've got an email software bill, we've got a tech helper bill, and that happens every month. So to everybody that is supporting us financially, that's paying for their subscription in one way or another, we really appreciate it. If you're not, consider doing so. Everybody's got money for the newspaper and the cable bill and all that. Do you have money for media that's actually serving you? That's really the issue here. And when you help us, it allows us to get this information out to the world. So thanks to all our supporters, and if you're not a supporter already, please consider becoming one.